So we're going to have a look now at what you're doing when you're using a compass to get a bearing from a map. And we're going to explain really that what you're doing is you're using the compass to measure an angle on the map. So we need to go back and have a look at angles. So you'll all remember that this is a 90-degree angle here. And if we have a straight line and we go around, which is like this, it's two 90-degree angles. So it's 180 degrees. And then if we go all the way around, we've got a 180 is 360 degrees. So if we have a look at this disc here, this disc is showing the angles all the way around from 0 right through all the way around in full circle to 360. So 0 degrees is straight up. Across to the right is 90 degrees, straight down is 180 degrees, and then across to the left is 270 degrees, which is 390s. What we have here now is an old map of Dublin, and you might be able to make out the canals which form a sort of a circle around the map. And on the left hand side there you've got the green of Phoenix Park, and on the right hand side you've got the docks as they were back then, or proposed docks. So up the top of the map you've got north, south to the bottom, east to the right, and west to the left. And it's the same pretty much on most maps. They're laid out that way. So if we place our disc on the map and you imagine that you're in the center of the city and you want to make your way up towards some point towards the top of the map, so you want to move in a northerly direction, so your bearing is going to be 0 degrees. If on the other hand you want to move over towards the docks, you're going to have to be on a bearing of 90 degrees, or if you want to go south you're going to be on a bearing of 180, or if you want to go to the Phoenix Park there to the west, you're going to be on a bearing of 270. And if we take the disc away there, you can see that we've got those 4 major points on the compass. Now take a look at this map here, simplified map, and I've got the disc there on the right just to keep in mind, just to help with the angles. So you want to go from A to B, you're going to be traveling due east, and you're going to be traveling on a bearing of 90 degrees. So the bearing is basically the angle. If this one, you want to go from X to Y, so you're traveling straight down the map, so you're traveling due south, and you're going to be traveling on a bearing of 180 degrees. In this example, you want to go from A to B, so you're traveling across the map due west, and your bearing is going to be 270 degrees. And our final example on this map is if you want to go from X to Y, you're traveling due north and you're on a bearing of 0 degrees. Okay, so here's a real life example now from an actual map, and this is from the Dublin Wicklow Mountains, and we want to walk from Malin on the right hand side there towards Corrig, which is on the left hand side. And if we want to go from Malin to Corrig, we'll be traveling in a westerly direction on a bearing of approximately 270 degrees. So from Malin to Corrig we'll be going 270 degrees. In this example we want to go from Seafingen, which is up there at the top left, down towards Capure on the bottom right. So in this example we're traveling east and also south, so we're traveling southeast, and our bearing is going to be somewhere between 90 degrees, which is east, and 180 degrees, which is south. So we would expect bearing to be between 90 and 180 degrees, and in fact the actual bearing, if you use your compass, is 113 degrees. If you measure that angle off the map you get 113 degrees. So in this example we're going to go from Duff Hill down the Col there and over in the direction of Gravale, and this is between Sally Gap and Mullatley Vaughan, Mullatley Vaughan being the second highest mountain in Wicklow. So we're going to be traveling north and also east, so we're going to be traveling northeast, and our bearing or our angle is going to be somewhere between 0 degrees, which is north, and 90 degrees, which is east. It looks to me to be very close to halfway, which would be a 45 degree angle. And if you actually measure it, the bearing is 43, or the angle is 43 degrees. Okay, so let's move on now to our final example, and we're in the same neck of the woods here. This time we want to go to Gravel or Gravel again, but we're going to go from Carrickvohor, and we're travelling down from Carrickvohor towards Gravel, again down through a col and back up towards Gravel. So we're going to be travelling south and west here, and it's going to be between 180, which is south, and 270, which is west. So we'd expect the bearing to be between 180 and 270, and in fact the bearing is 248. So if you use a compass on the map to measure the bearing, you're using the compass to measure the angle, and the angle works out to be 248. So we're going to look now at how to use the compass on a map to get a bearing. Okay, so here we have a map of the Dublin Mountains, and we're going to use this map and a compass to take a bearing. So we're going to take a bearing from the top of this mountain here called Sihon over to the top of Corrig. So if we take this, looking at the angles we've discussed before, the top of the map is pointing north, so this pencil is pointing north. And if we take the second pencil and point it in the direction that we want to travel, we can get a rough estimate of the angle. We know this is north up here to the tip of this pencil. This is 90 degrees. So it's definitely more than 90 degrees, but not a lot more. So maybe 110, 120 degrees, somewhere around there. Okay, so let's take a look at the compass. So let's have a look at the parts of the compass that we want to know about. So first of all, we've got the base plate. Okay, we've got our magnetic needle here. The red end of that points to the north. So in this room, north is in that direction. If I move the compass around, you can see that the arrow stays pointing to the north. So next thing is this arrow here. This is the direction of travel arrow. And finally we've got this circular part, which is called the housing. And the housing can revolve on the base plate. So if we look at the housing, we can see that we notice we've north, east at 90 degrees. And you can see the degrees on the compass all the way around to south 180, all the way around 350, back to north at 360 or 0 degrees. Okay, the next thing that we need to know about is are these lines on the base of the housing and this red arrow. The red arrow is called the orienting arrow, and it lines up with the N on the housing. And we'll be using those when we're taking a bearing from the map. So let's have a look at what we do with the map. Okay, so it's back to the map with the compass. Okay, so remember we're going from Sihon across here to Corrig. Direction of travel arrow on the compass. So that's the way we want to go. So we're going to line up the edge of the base plate with Sihon and Corrig like so. So we just place it down there firmly. When we're happy we have it right, we turn the housing so that the orienting arrow and the lines on the base of the housing run parallel, or directly north, run parallel to the lines on the map. And if you look at this line here running north-south on the map, you can see here it's parallel just to the right of the orienting arrow. So then we can read our bearing here. And our bearing is just less than 110, maybe 108. So what we're doing with the compass is we're using it as a protractor to measure the angle from north around in this direction. So this is 20, 40, 60, 80, east is 90. So we're just a little bit more than 90, and as we predicted, we've got an answer just more than 90, so 108. Now if I turn the compass around this way, you can see that the bearing there is indicated by this line on the housing. And if I turn the housing, you notice that that line stays put in line with the direction of travel arrow. So we just move it back to our 108. And that's it. So next we're going to look at what we do with that in real life out on the mountain. So we've got our 108 degrees from Seahon to get to Carrick. Now we measured the 108 degrees using what's called grid north, which is what the lines on the map point to. The red end of the compass needle on the compass points to magnetic north. At the moment in 2018 in this area there's a difference of 5 degrees. I'll explain this a little bit later on. Anyway, 5 degrees, we add 5 degrees to 108, so 108 and 5 is 113, so we turn it around to 113. Okay, so what we do now is we have to get the compass nice and even, a little bit away from us, and we turn around until the red end of the magnetic needle is directly sitting over the red end of the orienting arrow on the compass. And as soon as it's sitting over it as it is now, that's the direction of travel. So this is the direction we need to go in. Okay, so the red end of the needle sitting directly over the red orienting arrow on the compass. So this is the triangulation pillar at the top of Seahon, and built in the 1950s by the Ordnance Survey when they re-triangulated the country. So we're going to look at our compass now and head over towards Carrick. And you can see there that this is the direction we need to go in. And you can see there the brown dome of Carrick straight ahead of us, and those of you who are familiar with the area will recognise the Sugarloaf just beyond it, the pointed steep mountain there in the distance. So that's our direction towards Carrick.